Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first ever STO Tech Trek. Your host, me, Astro Zombie, and my co-host, Aponte. Say hello, Aponte.
How we are doing?
Very good, very good. I hope everybody's doing good. Considering this is the first show and we're winging it, yeah, this should be fun. But anyways, we're going to start off, we're going to talk about the new Breen ship, go into the trait, and then also some of the stuff that we're using. So, Ponte, I don't have the ship yet. You do. So, what do you think about the ship?
For a raider, I like it. It's fun, agile, maneuverable. You know, as a raider is, it's not going to take too much of a punch, but you know, it's got a nice console layout slot. It's got 5 tactical, 3 science, 3 engineering. Weapon-wise, it's a 4-2 with an experimental weapon slot. So, you know, it's another good addition to the Breen Armada.
Yeah, I never got the original T5 version. I think I just completely didn't do anything throughout the whole winter event at that time, so I haven't even got the original version.
Yeah, actually, oddly, neither do I.
Yeah, but I have all the other Breen ships, though. Do you, the console with it and stuff like that, is that a pretty decent console?
I mean, it's not bad. It's another one that goes along with your basic Breen setup where it's going to do drain. I believe it's a boosted pull around. I actually have to see which one it exactly is because I have all 3 of the Breen ones here set up.
Okay.
But I mean, it's, you know, other than that, it's nothing too special.
Yeah, but the special thing about this ship is the trait that it comes with.
Yes, which I've already been called out because I did a little video on the ship and I kind of just glanced over the trait without really looking at it in detail, and I wasn't that impressed. I thought it would be something alright for maybe a debuff kind of build. But when I was actually really looking at it, and we've started testing it since then, this trait is definitely something fun to play with.
You know, I'm seeing a big difference just by being in runs with you. I've noticed an increase in DPS just by you debuffing the main targets with it, so...
Well, yeah, I mean, right now, obviously, out of the people we're playing with pretty much, I'm the only one who actually has it yet, and we're seeing an increase on all different kinds of builds, on exotic side builds, torp, beamboats.
But the best build of all, Ox to Bat, baby.
Yes, well, unfortunately, this has brought me back to using the build I hate more than anything.
Oh, it's the best build. It's the greatest build of all time, don't you know?
I mean, listen, it is a good build. My hatred for Ox to Bat stems from it being the first build that anybody tried to teach me in this game.
Yeah, I agree.
I hate it. But, so pretty much what we're looking at here, this trait is anytime you're activating a pilot ability or auxiliary to emergency battery, Aux to Bat, you're going to apply a stack of Cold Hearted. Now, you can get up to 5 stacks, and the buffs it's giving you last 15 seconds. So what it's going to do is it's going to give you negative 9.1% flight speed. Nothing crazy there. Nothing important. It's going to do negative 2% to current and max all subsystem power. But nothing crazy. But the big one, obviously, is the beta debuff. The negative 10% all damage resistance rating for 15 seconds. And stacks 5 times. So you're looking at, you know, negative 50, obviously with probably diminishing returns, but still really good numbers.
Oh, anyway, so Aponte, have you flown the ship? I mean, did you just get it to, have you just flown the ship just to get the trait so far, or have you done anything else cool with it?
Yeah, so when I actually did my little review video, the biggest thing I wanted to stress was there's nothing incredible about the build that is going to take the spot. It's not the greatest beamboat out there. It's not going to be the greatest torp ship, not the greatest exotic psi, but what struck me about it, obviously, as a raider with all of its universal stations, it was really impressive how versatile this ship is. And in there, I flew a purely exotic style build, obviously with no secondary deflector, but still saw really good numbers. I flew a torp boat that was not really set up to be, you know, I didn't have the best torps on there, still saw really good numbers. So, you know, for somebody who's, you know, in the game, doesn't like to spend a lot of money, and they don't want to grab all the different kind of ships, but maybe they want to mess around with the different styles of builds. This ship is definitely fun and works really well for all of them.
Yeah, it definitely has the raider flanking and everything to it, correct?
Yeah, so.
The only bad thing it doesn't have is the cloak. So, like you did
Yes.
with most of the raiders on the Klingon side. So,
Yeah, I like the vertebrates.
you win some, you lose some. But other than that, so anyways, we just recently were told about and discovered from the colony holding and stuff like that. Most people aren't going to have it for a while, but we luckily had access to a fleet that, got it early. Not sure how they did it and stuff like that, but regardless. But anyways, we got a hold of it. This elite fleet intervention protomatter deflector array is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Its base stats are fine, but what makes it so badass is the 15% critical chance. The 15% critical severity and the 4% critical chance based on your hull. I haven't looked at it yet, Aponte. When your hull starts dropping, have you seen that yet? When it starts diminishing, about what point?
No, actually, I haven't. I wanted to take it into a PvP and just have somebody kind of take me down a little to check where it's going there.
Okay.
I mean, the reason why I still think this is the number one is, obviously the builds have kind of changed from what they were. You can still use the Iconian space set. It's still a really nice set. But a lot of people have kind of gone old school. So they're running the Nakura space set two-piece.
Yeah.
And if you're running the shield and the engine, as some are to do, and then running a fleet warp core, your deflectors kind of opened up. So a lot of people might run the 8472, the counter command deflector, things like that. This deflector, I still think, is giving you more, even if you negate the crit severity and crit chance at the bottom, because let's say, I get beat up a lot, I'm really low in hull, you're getting impulse expertise, which is always nice, EPS, which is very big, and then you're getting drain, and then you're getting just a straight boost to crit chance and severity, not even based on your hull. You're also getting shield pen, and then obviously you're getting the severity and chance based on hull. And one of the big thing is with the console that we use a lot right now for, on these high-end builds, you're going to run the dynamic power distributor, which is from the 23rd century prototype.
Yeah.
When you hit this ship, you are going to sit at max hull for a good amount of time, and it's giving you a big boost to damage. So as you're putting out this really good damage to the end of the run, that crit chance and severity is really helping out.
Yeah. Well, I see this helping out aggro tanks immensely, because now they're actually able to contribute a little bit more damage to the run.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep their hull high, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, just that right there alone on a DPS build, wonderful. I don't know about a science build so much, because I think you would still want to use the Solanae deflector, or even the Terran Task Force deflector array because of the drain. But for every other build, I don't foresee using any other deflector.
Yeah. Well, and even for the exotic size, I still have the Solanae, but our resident science guru, Darth Protius, has actually taken the Solanae off to put this in there for his runs right now and wants to test it.
Yeah.
And because those builds are getting so much EPG from so many different consoles in so many different areas, right now he's testing the fact that the loss of drain that you can make up for in another console, maybe, these exotic abilities really hit hard, kind of similar to Torps, where your severity really buffs them up. And he's actually seeing good numbers out of them, too.
Oh, all right, here we go. Yeah, the only downside to this deflector, it doesn't have any a 2-piece, 3-piece, 4-piece bonus to it. It's a standalone any of the other fleet deflectors or engines and stuff like that. That would have been pretty cool to see if that's the case. But the plus side to this is the price on it. Wasn't it 12 DIL and 14 fleet credits?
Yeah, which, I mean, if you compare it to what we were just talking about earlier with the tactical consoles, the locators or the exploiters, where you're looking at 100,000 credits and somewhere I think it's 34,000 dilithium.
Yeah.
This thing is a steal.
I'm absolutely... I hope that's not a typo. I hope they did it on purpose, because it will help out the free-to-play players absolutely immensely just by them doing stuff like this.
Yeah, I agree.
It lets them get a hold of it, get it cheaper and stuff. The only problem is I know that a lot of fleets aren't you know, really, you know, doing this, and they don't have access. Like my fleet that I'm in right now, we won't have it for like another 4 weeks. So I mean, you got to be patient. It's coming, but when it comes, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, another thing is the channel, the free invite channel, NOP Public Service. There might be some other fleets who have been able to get their tier up to that level. So you guys can always try, throw out an invite to, I believe it's a tier 3 colony to get it. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that because, again, my fleet also doesn't have it up there. But, you know, definitely something worth throwing that question out there in the NOP Public Service to see if you can get the invite. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to the weapons. I heard that the weapons already got nerfed on Tribbled, though. I'll have to look and see more into that. So
yeah, I actually, when I was there, I was taking a look. I'm not sure if these are the same ones or if there's multiple weapons sold out of there. The ones I was seeing were just like the just like our main starbase, where it sells all the different kinds of weapons, just, you know, a fleet version. I saw the same thing here where they had your phasers, your disruptors, cannons, all different kinds of things. And they all had the basic proc, like with disruptors, it had your -10 to damage resistance. And then what it said was 2.5% chance to restore shields and hull. So, I mean, again, for a nice tank DPS, you know, anything in HSE, I mean, that could be a really nice addition. But I'm not sure if those are the same beams that everybody were really excited for, because I don't see anything there that's too much of a bump to damage.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like I said, I haven't had access to it and I haven't seen them. I just heard about it through the grapevine. But I do want to mention Protius was talking about the secondary deflector. I don't have it yet either, but it's also really dirt cheap, and it's almost up to par with the crafted secondary def.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because obviously those exotic builds most of the time are going to go with the deteriorating secondary deflector, and the one that a lot of the high-end exotic builds use, if you're going to craft it, it's going to take you a few different times to get to the one you want. And if you just wanted to go and buy it on the exchange, it's upward of 80-90 mil to buy the perfect one. So if you're on a budget, this is a really nice secondary deflector for a damn good price, and I think it actually is better than the ones from the research lab. And again, our resident science guru has been testing it, and he's seen great numbers still out of it. So,
oh yeah, I would like to move on to the miracle worker ships briefly.
Yep.
Amazing. I absolutely love these ships. I haven't messed around with the science version and the engineering version. The only version I have is the tactical, which is the Tucker. What is it? I broke 137 in a pug with you the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, mind you, I didn't have this. No, I didn't have this deflector on at that point.
No,
I did not. But I mean, it's a good ship. A lot of people have been hating on it. I know about the aesthetics on how it looks. It's a big girl. Get over it. But I mean, it's a 12 console ship, and the 12th console is a universal console. You can put anything you want onto it.
Yeah.
And it's tanky as all hell. I mean, I recently just did a video on a aggro tank build / DPS. I did like 89k DPS and pulled like 73% of the threat in an ISA. So, I mean, the ship itself is absolutely versatile, but the cool thing is the trait. The redirecting arrays, where you get the fire at will duration extended by damage. It's not going to be good, you know, like if somebody's in there, you got an aggro tank and stuff like that, and you're not getting any threat, that trait is not going to help you that much. But if you're taking just, you know, damage regardless, I would say anything over like 20%, I think this trait's going to help you a bit more.
Yeah, I would agree there.
Yeah.
And, you know, first back to what you said, the look thing. I've learned to give up on loving a ship for the way it looks ever since the command ships. The ships I love the way they look are never the ones that really are going to perform at the high level. So, yeah, get over it. As far as this ship, I only have the Tucker, as you said. I wasn't at first when, you know, I've recently only come back into playing a couple weeks ago, so I've been trying to catch back up. I've heard about these ships. There was nothing I thought that was going to, you know, really blow my mind from them. I wanted to test the trait, so I bought the Tucker. And I have been really impressed. by both what you said, the tank ability, the damage ability, having 12 consoles, one being a universal, it's really unique and really fun, and actually very maneuverable for a cruiser, you know? So definitely been having a lot of fun with it. I also agree with the trait-wise. I mean, if you look at it, if you're taking in enough damage and you have a nice balanced build, or you have somebody else in there taking threat so that it's kind of balanced, and you're running an Aux to Bat build or some kind of build that's going to help with your cooldown reduction, or even double copies of Fire at Will, I mean, you're almost looking at this being another version of like the Jemadar Strike Ship one that extends the rapid fire duration, or the Cannon Scatter Volley trait. So you're almost looking at a constant uptime if the damage taken is up to that level. If not, you're still looking at maybe 12 to 13 seconds of Fire at Will and only 2 seconds down. So it's definitely a nice boost.
I agree. Yeah, I even taken off Invincible recently to put that trait on, which is amazing, because, like, you know, usually I fly, like, squishier ships at around, like, 70k hull and under, but with this ship, I think I have it at, like, 105% right now, just because of the garbage I have on it. But, I mean, I'm not getting, even when I had this thing built purely for DPS and I got, like, 1 or 2 heals on there, I'm getting hammered on stuff and I'm not hurting. I'll trigger continuity, maybe, here and there, but I mean, I'm never popping over to where I need to hit, and you know, where Invincible kicks in and it's necessary. That's how good this ship is. So it's cool I could take Invincible out, not have to mess with any of my other traits, and pop this bad boy in. So yeah, I like it. It's a good ship. So
yeah, I mean, it's rare when we get a trait that is actually going to knock something out of our Starship traits that we have already. And right now, in a short period of time, I've already taken off 2 Starship traits for both the trait from the Raider and from the Tucker class. And right now it's to the point where it used to be 5 traits, that's what I used. There was very little times where I would switch it out. And right now, there's like 7 or 8 different traits that I fit in depending on build. So, you know, right now I find that, you know, when we came back, DPS had dropped, Season 13, everything was a little weird. We had to find out what worked. The one good thing right now, the numbers aren't the same, but who cares really what the numbers actually are? But right now, a lot of different things are capable of doing good damage, which is really fun. You're seeing cannon builds, either with rapid fire or scatter volley. You're seeing rainbow beam builds. You're seeing hybrids with the Nausicaan torpedo. So it's a really fun time in STO where a lot of different things could, you know, do some really good damage, and it's not just so boring where it's plasma explosions and feedback pulse. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, you look at the top of the board, anywhere from, like, what is it, 140 up to what's the highest record right now?
263, maybe somewhere up there.
And you sat there and you said you went through all of them, and they're just completely, I mean, a lot of them are still using, like, the Nausicaan 3-piece, correct?
Well, actually, the top 5, I'd say, were not. They were using, but of course those were, you know, nannied runs, which I think we'll get into in another show, kind of really explain what that is, because I'm sure people here don't quite understand. But a lot of them were using a mix of crafted disruptors with a few coalitions.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing as well.
Yeah. Others were a mix of anti-protons, so they were using Delphic Herald and the Trilithium-infused phaser, which is from the newest mission. I haven't tested it yet. And then, you know, there's cannon builds, but then there's a build up there where a guy without these, you know, nannies was running this Nausicaan build, where he's running the Nausicaan 3-piece and whatnot, in a pug run, and it has a 252 score, which is really, really good DPS right now.
I don't know how he did that. That was Tenor, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, it's, you know, there's a lot of different things capable of doing really good damage right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of people are upset and stuff after Season 13, 13.5 about how DPS is going. I mean, I understand that, like, the hit to plasma consoles, it needed to happen. I don't think it needed to happen as bad as it did. But, I mean, they definitely need to be taken down a notch. But the only thing I'm upset about with the plasma consoles right now is the fact that you can have 4 of them on there and you're not even getting 1,000 DPS out of it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I agree with you. They needed a hit, but it was too drastic. I mean, you know, people were doing 200k, and minus plasma explosions and feedback pulse, maybe they were doing 50k. So that was too much. But to make them obsolete as they have been now, I think is what left a sour taste in people's mouth. This was something people had spent money in for multiple characters, multiple builds, upgrading. So I think it was a little too much. But I do kind of like the fact that different things are viable right now. It's a little less boring.
Yeah, well, we went back mainly to the crit chance and crit severity again. You know, we started, you know, cramming in as much as that as we can. So, I don't know what else people are using, but, you know, I'm still using the tachyokinetic, the bioneural, the assimilated module, and then I'm also using the two-piece, the House of Martok Omnibeam, along with the console, the defensive configuration console. It gives you, what, like a 2.5% chance or 2.4%?
Yeah, the two-piece, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 2.5% critical chance. So, I mean, that in itself, I mean, that's great. I'm glad that they're finally pumping some of this free stuff out, like this new deflector that we were just talking about. Now this two-piece, and then you got the three-piece Nausicaan set. These are things that are free for people to get, or you have to do a little bit of grinding. I'm sorry, you gotta grind, or else, yeah, you're not gonna get it for free. And you can actually do some damage in this game with it.
Yeah, but I mean, to put it in perspective, it's either 2 characters, 1 day worth of dilithium for 2 characters, or 2 days for 1, and then 1 UAA, Undine Assault Advanced, and you have this deflector.
Exactly.
So it's, you know, it's definitely something that's within range. And I know both of us have been known to put out what we've called quote unquote budget builds in the past, and right now I'll tell you, you know, the builds I'm running, yeah, I have them upgraded, things like that, because that's how I like to do it. But these are mission reward gear that are on the top-end builds, so they're available to everybody, you know.
Yeah. And it's absolutely wonderful. And now, mind you, I'm not telling everybody you have to be doing over 100K, 150K. Anything really realistically over 50K is overkill. It's just more of a hobby. So try not to get upset. It's just our thing. We like to talk about DPS. It's what we do. It's our end game, because we really don't have much else. I suck at role-playing. Aponte here, he sucks at doing everything else in the game, so...
But, you know, and another thing, we've been talking about, you know, these beam boats that are up there and a lot of different variation in energy weapons at the top of the board. Another thing is the exotic science builds. You know, a build that's really purely running on, you know, gravity wells and subspace vortex, charged particle bursts, things like that, to set off the deteriorating sector deflector. These are still working. I mean, you're not going to see, you know, the 200 to 250 maybe out of these builds necessarily, but in pug runs we're still seeing 120 to 140, which again is plenty of damage and really cool to see out of these science builds. And the same goes with torpedoes. I mean, we, you know, there's the master himself, Oden, and I run torps. Astro's been running, and we're seeing great numbers out of them. And now, remember, we're talking about ISA. Right now, it looks like for Hive Space Elite, torps and Psi could actually be the top contenders there. Right now, cannons are up there, but I think in good runs, torpedoes and science could be right on top.
Oh yeah, when the stars align and we get the team together and everybody's ready to go at the time, yes, I think we'll be doing pretty good.
So that's it for our first episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Leave in the comments if you have anything special you'd like to hear about in the next coming episodes, and have fun.
Bye-bye.